Hi, we are not talking about providers, how to create, update providers, and where to find such providers. This is our owner, Peter Pan. You can see immediately at this level that there is a provider's contact list. So at the moment we have 4 providers. These providers are located here, and we can make some changes on the provider's public information whenever the provider is not registered in the database as we are. If the provider is registered, like is the case for this German IMO, we cannot make any changes. We can just send email to him. Okay, so let's make a change to this one, which we added, and we can change his public information, which is the phone. What happens the day we registered, Jack Black will change, and this type of information will not appear as it is here to change. Okay, what is left with for this German IMO are the private information. We can store private information concerning German IMO, and the private information is different building by building, or we can have the same information building by building. We will see that in a minute. So really, to deal with the information about the providers, we can do it from here. So we can create another provider, okay? Okay. Or we can look at the provider from within a building, which is the second option. So let's look at the provider within Crocodile Avenue 44. Now, if we go in Crocodile Avenue, we see that this list of providers, so each building has a list of providers. His list of providers include these 3 providers here. Now we have more providers registered. Why? Because a provider registered with other building. Provider to be with us must be in one of our buildings list or property lists. Sorry. So we can import a provider from my other contact, and you see that Abbé Pierre is here. This is not registered with this building. So we're going to import this provider. Okay. Now if we want to take a provider out of a list, we can just do this. So the provider now is removed from this property. Okay. Or we can add a registered provider, a provider registered in the system. So we're going to search for example, this guy here. Oops, there is René Remy. This is the guy I'm looking for. Is from Bonn. This is the phone, has no phone, and this is the email address. So I'm going to connect to this provider. So the building is now connected to this provider. Okay. Or we can add a new provider. Okay. Now notice here we are inside a property, so we're gonna add another provider, right? This is the general information in the first part, so the information that once it gets registered, only he can change. Okay, so there is the city, the address, the zip code, etc. But for this provider, we can also add, now that we are in a building, some specific information. Like, for example, the bank reader keys that will help us identify payments to him when we upload the CSV from the bank with some transaction information. Okay, so let's put here, sorry, I want an ABE, Italian ABE. So these are keys. So once I create this, what happens is that now for Abate Francesco we have these 2 bank keys and we have some information. Now if you notice, once I try to change it from here, the information from within the building, the only information I can change is the information private to this. Why? Because it's a decision of the app. And also because once he's going to get his own registration, because we're going to invite provider Abate and he's connected to you, he's going to be able to add to change specifically his information from outside. So here we can put the contact person right? So this is his P stands for personal, and O stands for official, for public info. Personal, P stands personal, private, etc., etc. Let's go back here just to have a look. So if we go back here and we have a look at the providers, take a look at the providers. Now we see the provider we just created, Abate Francesco, is here. We can change his information, but this is just the public information related to him. Okay? Now, one question is why here I can also delete Abbe Pierre and I cannot delete Abate Francesco? And the answer is very simple. Abbe Pierre has been created here and has been not associated with any building. Actually, we did associate, but then we took it back. So this is allowed to delete from here. For Abate Francesco, since he is connected with one building, this is not possible. Once we have our list, so let's go back to the buildings. Once we have our list of providers, and assuming that for these buildings, these providers are enough, now we can input all information, and we will see it in another video, tied to the providers, like providers contracts, like costs, like tasks, like task rules, etc. The last thing to be said about the providers is that there are many views on these providers, on the providers, and this is very interesting. So here, if we look, we have the providers here, so we can see without the building Crocodile Avenue, all that has happened with Abate Francesco. Since we didn't input any information, everywhere is known, there is no information, right? So this makes sense. So we go back to our building info center. Oh, sorry, I just want to show you what's around here. So you would have the contracts with the provider, the payments with these providers for this building here, related only to this building here, the bills that this provider made, the tasks, and then some stats, number of tasks, financial exposure to this provider. Okay. Now if we go back here, we have the look by the building. And then if we go back to the owner, you see that there is another list of providers. These one are all the providers. You remember there were just 5 providers for that building. These are all the providers. In fact, if you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and you see it from here, these are all the providers. So what is the other view that we have? We can in fact view all the activities of Abate Francesco throughout our own properties. Okay, so we will have all the buildings where Abate Francesco worked, all his contracts, all his payments, all his costs. And then there will be statistics, revenues, payments, tasks related to all the activity of Abate Francesco within us. And in fact, once we are here, we can go back here as well. Okay. Thank you.